You have to convince them that what made you not be there is something very, very conk. Like it has to be very, very conk reason for you to like get a reprimand or maybe just a warning.
It can't be mpango ilitokea and then ukaenda kuona mabeste.
Hiyo sasa hiyo tena sasa utaekwa hata 4 years.
The other thing is that you are very particular, like when you are coming, and even when Louis was talking to me, it was very important that you get a place where you can get the right food. And that's part of the reason why, like Louis was busy, like looking for Kenyans out in Oregon. Is there an issue with American foods? Like, because ungeza tu kuingia Mickey D's, ungeza tu kuingia Domino's, ubai pizza, amo buy burgers.
Chipotle.
I mean, you are very particular that you wanted these Kenyan foods. Why is that, Omanyala?
Before you answer that, I wanted to add on to that question that Ali just asked. So, do you have a specific macronutrient split that you have to eat in a day?
No. No.
Yes, so what is that?
Or when you're looking at your nutrition, how you're putting it, you're counting more on the calories you're getting in than what, because one macronutrients is when you look at the food and you break down the amount of proteins, carbs, and fats in that specific food.
No, I think that will be a good thing to, but I don't do that because we burn a lot of calories in training.
Okay, but now the Kenyan foods, why were you so specific about Kenyan foods? Yet kuna Domino's, kuna McD's, kuna so many other foods that you could be eating.
Yeah, of course, my burgers and all that. No, because one thing is when you're getting to big competitions or these international races, it's good to have something that you've been used to eating, and I've been used to eating the Kenyan meals. So anytime I travel and I find Kenyans around, I always try to ask them to bring me the Kenyan foods, because kuna venye tu ugali na nipeanga nguvu fulani nikiamka asubuhi. nasikia nikaa nimelala smart. So I always prefer to have that.
Ugali na mayai 10.
I always prefer Kenyan foods a lot.
Okay, all right, that's good. And then
you don't have a fear of especially right now, the way we have food that is being processed different. You don't have a fear of getting something contaminated into your body. Especially kituka kuku, chicken can easily make you get burnt substance into your body. Eggs, you don't have that fear when you, let's say nikwambie hebu kuja nikupikia hapa, niko na ngoho ingine nitakupikia dry fry. You don't have that fear when you go somewhere and you decide okay, let's indulge in this.
No, mostly there's it's very rare to get a burnt substance in food, unless it's on very rare occasions, of which it's very rare. Mostly it's in medicine and supplements, sometimes contamination.
Okay, and we're going to talk about burnt substances.
If we look at it in terms of the reason why I asked that is because in boxing we've been having an currently issue right now, of like 3 boxers who have had an issue of doping, and all of them have associated it to food. And the guilty party was chicken and eggs.
Yeah,
okay.
And now we're gonna get to doping, because that's a major part in this conversation a little bit later on. So real quick here, there's some comments that are coming in. There's a question here from Fred Absalom. How many calories do you have before, during, and after competition? I think you've already answered that question, that you just burn a lot of calories. And then Slayer namwambia Chief Louis that we need superfoods for Omanyala chef. And then Chief Louis hapa anasema call me Kundeman. I don't know what Kundeman is.
Kunde is a type of vegetable.
Yeah, Kunde the veggie.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, but me, I've never cooled Kunde. Me, I always kula nyama. When I go to Louis' place, there's always either a mbuzi that has been killed or
so which
slaughtered.
Which place?
Get it right.
Slaughtered. Which place? The farm, the house, or the residence?
Hiyo tuongee nyuma ya tent. Hiyo tuongee nyuma ya tent hiyo hapo.
Yes, checking.
Okay, all right. So yes,
Yes,
so very interesting. Again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Mukurima, you wanted to ask something to Omanyala. We've still not seen your call.
I think he did.
He did.
It was about the jerseys,
Okay.
the throwaway.
No, but did he call?
He
No,
said
no,
you-
no, no, no.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe you wanted to
Swali
show.
yake ilikuwa anataka hizo nini
Anataka
vile
hizo
baridi.
throwaway.
Hizo baricho.
Hizo kits,
Oh,
hizo za Baricho.
Ziende Baricho.
Okay.
Aye.
Big way city, yeah.
Aye.
right.
And we're here.
Okay.
How now?
All right. I want to remind the listeners again that you're tuned into the One Mic Show, and I'm your co-host and producer, Ali Badawi. Our guest tonight is Africa's 100-meter champion, Ferdinand Omanyala. He's scheduled to suit up tomorrow, Saturday the 16th, for 100-meter race at 1:07 p.m. Pacific time, 3:07 p.m. Central Time, and 4:07 p.m. Eastern Time here in the East Coast. And this will be at the Diamond League leg in Eugene, Oregon's Prefontaine Classic. This race will feature American world champion Noah Lyles and Botswana's Letsile Tebogo. It will be aired live on NBC Sports and the Wonder Diamond League YouTube page. Word has it that a number of Kenyans from Portland, Oregon and Seattle, Washington have made their way down to Eugene to see Omanyala in action in the Prefontaine Classic. And just for perspective, I think Portland is like 1.5 hours away from Eugene, Oregon. And then Seattle, Washington is like 5 hours away from Eugene, Oregon. And people are coming all the way just to see the champion. And then now later in the show, we're going to be talking about doping. Of course, we had already started mentioning doping, so we want you to stay tuned. But before we continue again, we're going to remind you again and again the collaboration between the One Mic Show and Bora Lounge. Uno Mic.
Bora Lounge, www.boralounge.com. Rugby World Cup has started. Many people could not go, so they have offered a virtual 20 study.
Okay.
Virtual 20 study. Boralounge.com.
Yeah.
There you will also be able to catch 1:07 Pacific Time, 4:07 East Standard Time. The man, the myth, the legend, Ferdinand Omanyala.
Will they catch him for sure?
They will try. They
I
can
don't-
try.
I
will
don't
try.
think they'll catch
They
him.
can try.
They can try.
Okay.
You know,
They
just
can
like
try.
his mom
Yeah.
tried,
Yeah.
his dad tried.
So we can also
Hawakuweza.
try.
Hakuweza.
Yeah.
Hata kwanza alipofika alikuwa ameficha 50 bob kwa nini kwa school bag, but that's a story for another day.
Haya.
Yeah. But now, you know, like
Hiyo story ya kutoa na mbio ndo nataka, kuna swali nataka kumuuliza lakini ndauliza baadaye.
okay. Okay, sawa. You know, like we wanna now go to something that's rather uncomfortable. Back in 2017, the Anti-Doping Agency of Kenya suspended you and your coach Duncan Ayemba for 14 months and 2 years respectively for administration of a banned substance alongside 12 other athletes. Now, in the last couple of years, doping has become a big issue in Kenyan athletics. More recently, in June, your teammate in the 4x1 relay, Samuel Limeta, alongside several other athletes, were also handed suspensions by the Anti-Doping Agency of Kenya. Now, Omanyala, please talk to us about how you ended up in this situation and what it is that athletes and maybe the public need to know about the issue of doping that's affecting Kenyan athletes, because it's quite confusing. Omanyala.
Yeah, so I'll start with myself. In 2017, it was in June,
Yes.
just before the national championships, and we were training at Nyayo Stadium, and I had my back snapped at some point during the block sessions, and I assumed that, and then continued training. So the second time, it was a bad snap, like the bone stand, you know.
Ooh.
So there was so much pain. So we decided to stop the training there and go for physiotherapy. So we got this physiotherapy. The guy tried to do some of what they always do, crack my back and all that stuff. So after that, went back to the hostel. I was in the hostels that time. So got back to the hostels and took a nap. But the time I was waking up, the whole left leg was numb. So I couldn't feel my leg. And I called my coach and told him, hey, hapa ni noma. So my coach, we had to look for a hospital. Kenda Hosi were looking to do a scan, but we got there, the doctor said, we don't need a scan for this. And I have a medication that will help because it's severe and all that stuff. So he injected me a Diprofos painkiller on this side and tramadol on the other side. So getting to the national champs, I get tested and the results come back positive. So the medication had a banned substance in it, betamethasone. So that was the banned substance in the medication. The medication is called Diprofos. So I was banned for 14 months because I did not declare that I was injured a week before. So that was negligence on my part. So that's why I was banned for the 14 months. So that was the story. And I understand, yeah, there's a lot of doping issues in the country, of which, you know, I really don't know what's going on. But there's that intentional and unintentional part. You find like my case was unintentional. You don't know you don't know about medications. You don't know which one should you take or not. So that's the part where the doctor needs to like understand it very, very well. That this kind of medication, like huwezi tu meza dawa ya homa right now because flu and cough medications have banned substances, most of them. Not all, but most of them have banned substances. So you have to be very careful. As an athlete, you have to like, because for me now, right now, I have my own personal doctor who, anything happens to me, I don't just walk into a hospital and get treated. I have to call him and make sure that he approves of some medication, or maybe if it's that bad, he comes to me directly and we go and get treated in the hospital. So that's what we have to do. Sometimes, like Mike said, you get into a chemist, buy meat or buy pork, and that animal was injected before it died. some enhancers or steroids, and then you end up getting a positive test when you eat that meat. So it's a wide topic, which I understand the federation and the World Anti-Doping, World Athletics Integrity Unit are working so hard to educate people. And now we are having the situation where people are being banned because of whereabouts failure. Whereabouts failure is we have an account as professional athletes that we fill our accounts every day, so that you tell them where you are at what time and what time should they come and test you, and that's done randomly. So we just feel that it's always in quarters, in 4 quarters every year. So like for next quarter, which starts in October, we have already filled it, so that you just tell this guy, you update in that account that you're going to be at home. So my window is always like at 5 a.m. in the morning. So I always make sure that at 5 a.m. I am where I said I will be, so that when these guys come, they don't miss you. So if you miss these guys miss you for 3 times in a year, you are banned for 2 years. So that's another thing that is really affecting people. And it's a platform that is not easy to just understand, because you find some athletes are not well educated. So it's hard for them to understand how to use such platforms. So maybe use a computer or use a smartphone. So another person is filling their whereabouts for them. So sometimes you might, an emergency comes up. You say, I want to go and see my mom, or my mom is sick, or my dad is sick, and you take a flight, or maybe you take your car, or maybe you take a matatu, and then you fail to tell the person updating your account that nimeenda kuona madhe, so tomorrow I won't be here, I'll be the next place. So this guy forgets to update your account, and then this guy is in a span of that moment that you're just moving, these guys come and they don't find you in your house. That's a mistest.
Wow.
And if you do that 3 times in a year, you are out for 2 years. So that's another thing that it's really putting athletes into that situation, which is they're just falling victim of circumstances. But it's our own responsibility to always know that you're a professional athlete and you need to update all that.
Oh, wow.
So is that thing, is it appealable? Like, for instance, the one you talked about, the whereabouts failure. Is that something that's appealable, or once they've decided, once you miss?
You can appeal, but, you have to convince them that what made you not be there is something very, very conk. Like, it has to be very, very conk reason for you to, like, get a reprimand or maybe just a warning.
It can't be mpango ilitokea and then ukaenda kuona mabeste.
hiyo sasa hiyo tena sasa utaekwa hata 4 years.
So you know hii story ya doping is very interesting. Kuna nani Marco Tieno, who I think as you are coming up you either found him in the sprints and you guys have trained together, and so he was banned I think 2 years ago, and he's just come out of it. So kwa kesi kama yake yeye alipewa I think 2 years, but in certain other cases, and I think even for some offenses, I think it's cannabis. For cannabis, Kenya nimeona wanaban watu for 4 years. So is it that Kenya is very what's the right word? They are very, the punishment that they give is higher than what the other bodies are giving, and or as an athlete, how do you look at it from, as someone who has gone through that process?
All these judges have gone through sports law and they understand what they're doing, so I can't question or have any comments on that. But international athletes are always, their cases are always handled by the Court of Arbitration of Sports. So all these cases, whether it's Kenya, it's the US, it's once you have a problem with your samples, your case is handled by that court. So all this punishment you're seeing, most of them, of the international athletes, are being given by the Arbitration of Sports, the Court of Arbitration of Sports. So there's also the Sports Tribunal in Kenya, which handles the national athletes mostly. Mm-hmm. And that's where my case was handled, of which I don't, it's always about how are you arguing your cases? Because you might find a lawyer who doesn't really have the facts, and then he cannot really convince the judges, that the jury there, that this guy got this situation because of, the reasons he might be given might not be
correct
reasons that will make the judges really give you a lesser punishment. So sometimes it ends up in getting those and I don't think there's because there's always, when you go to those pages, there's once you're caught, like you get a positive test today, and then tomorrow you say I accept everything, there's always a specific amount of years that you're given. So let's say for contamination you get 4 years, for EPO you get 8 years, so it's standard. So unless you argue your case, unless you argue your case so well, there's no way that is going to be reduced. So it's going to be that standard. So unless if you argue your case so well, you get people getting months, like getting even the whereabout failure. The guys have had to be caught in that situation.
Correct.
Some of them have given their argument. Some get 3 months, some get 6 months. But the bottom line for that is 2 years. So it depends on how you argue your cases.
Wow.
Wow. I mean, this is very good education, because I think from a fan's perspective, people think that when an athlete is caught up in this situation, alikuwa ameenda kuchukua kitu to try to be faster or to be, but it's more complicated than that. It's in medication, it's in food, and then there's all these complicated rules that they have where you could be banned for 2 years, 4 years, even up to 8 years. That's really crazy. Yeah. So now as we're getting to a close, because we know, Champ, you have to go pumzika. You have a very big day tomorrow to prepare. Umosh has a question regarding endorsements, which he will ask shortly. But also, in addition to what Umosh is going to ask, I'll want you to tell us how the pay structure looks for a career in track. Mbesha, yani umeomoka, yani account yako iko sawa, yani nikikwambia unacheka kitu M-Pesa. Is this just like now, like where you are track athletes, taken care of, but I'm gonna let first Omosh ask the question you wanted to ask about
endorsement na Adidas, anarusha tu akitoka.
So Omanyala, my question for you is in relation to endorsements in general. How do you pick who to go with? Is it based upon ile pesa unapewa? Is it based upon a gut feeling? Is it something that likes, or how do you go about picking? Because for instance, Sai, you're signed to Adidas, So I guess swali ingekuwa mbona ungeenda na Nike, Puma, you know.
Ama alipata fake Adidas from a babu.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Wewe, si swali ilikuwa yangu.
Sorry, my bad.
I think what everybody wants to know is how athletes make money. That's basically what.
Yes. Tuambie uko na dongapi ndo tujue.
Mimi sasa yangu my net worth reveals so
utatoka Eugene utajipata umewapigwa pini shauri yako.
KRA hapo anangoja.
Mbaya.
Tax money style.
I always tell athletes anytime I meet athletes that e-sport, it pays and it pays well, but it pays you once you get to that level that we are in now. But ukiwa national athlete, the one who makes Olympics teams, the one who makes national teams, and then you only train to just make the national teams, unafika huku, you get out of the heat and go back home, then that won't be worth it. Because Olympics teams, they pay 1 million for allowance. So imagine working for 4 years just to get 1 million. I don't think that's worth an investment. That's a worthy investment. And then if next year's Olympics, like this year we are the world champs, tulipo around 500 Gs. So you can't be working for 2 years to go and be given 500K. So that's how now the Diamond League circuit gets in. That's how the Continental Tour circuit gets in. And that's how all these other races that get in. And now that's where our managers now come in. So if you get to that pro level, you get a manager. A manager will look for the races for you. So once you get to the races, that's like selling yourself. In 2021, I did not have any sponsorship. I was with Odibets, and I was with who really helped me then. I was with USN, who were giving me my nutritional supplements, but I can't say I had like a major sponsorship like I do now. So I had to get races, and for you to get races, you have to pay it for yourself. You have to start by paying the tickets for yourself. Most of the athletes in Kenya and around the world are mistaken that once you get a management, you're getting a sponsorship. No, it doesn't work like that. Management are not sponsors. Management are here to make sure that they let you sell. So for me, 2021, after the Olympics, I took all my allowance and paid for my tickets and accommodation in Europe, because Europe has like races every week. There are so many races around the world, but Europe has so many races. So I took that money, went to Europe, and gladly that worked. I ran my first sub-10s in Europe, 996 and 986. That made the brands now to start getting interested. Like, who is this guy who is running 996, 986? And then 3 weeks later, I ran 977. Now that brought the brands in. So with that said, I got a couple of brands on the table. And, the most important thing is you look at the money. Because I don't think you'll have good shoes, but you don't have money. So I got like 5 brands on the table. And the one that had the biggest bid was Adidas. And they gave us very many bonuses.
Toboa.
Tuambie tu, usione haya. Hatutaambia mtu.
Mna concentrate.
No. Lakini si tunajua hapo kuna makits,
tunangoja.
Tuambie tu, hatutaambia mse. Hii ni story yetu.
So,
hata hakuna listeners. Hawasikii.
So, when I got the contract, and there are so many things in the contract, like bonuses, what you achieve when you run the fastest time. And there's also something that if you're not among the top 15 in the world, there's a percentage that goes off. So you have to make sure that you work so hard so that you maintain yourself in the top 15 in the world ranking. I mean, every year, like your times have to be among the top 15 best sprinters in the world. That's why they say 100 meters is the most paying track and field sport, because it's interesting, and I don't know what other reason is it. So I signed good money, I signed some dollars, and I get a lot of kits. Of course, kits is part of the sponsorship. I'm being given kits worth $7,000 every year. So you can imagine that's a lot of kits. Like, they keep coming and keep coming and keep coming. And so there's a part where there's a rollover. So when you sign a contract, for us, we have rollovers, and rollovers are, you perform well this year, and then the bonuses that you make, like winning different races. Like, I'll use an example of this year. I've won 3 continental tours, which pays around $10,000 each. So you win 3 of that, and then Diamond League races also have their own prize monies. So if you of which Diamond League is bigger, so when you win all that and put that together, you might find that you end up with like over $180,000. So if you get that and you're rolling over plus the best payment that you're being paid, you get that you're living a good life.
You are dollar millionaire.
That's not bad.
You get that you are dollar millionaire.
Yeah. So when you that's now the track part. So coming to the other endorsements, you find that other companies will want to associate with you because you're performing well, and they want you to push their brands for them. So you might find, don't misquote me, you might find you get Visa, you get Toyota, you get AHF, you get USN, and all these guys are coming to sponsor you, to sponsor your dream. So with that, you're making money in track, out of track, because we're not here for the longest time.
Okay.
We are here for a very short time. So every opportunity, I always tell myself, every opportunity that comes, you grab it, drop the ones that you think won't be very valuable along the way. But don't leave that opportunity back there and then thinking that you're going to get an opportunity in front. Just grab all these opportunities. Ukiona yenye ikufai wezi achilie pole pole as you move on.
Interesting.
No, I was going to ask Ali. I don't know.
Na job ya kawaida, si ndio?
Na job ya polisi pia. I mean a police force.
Yeah, I know. That's the other thing.
You know.
That's the other thing. Yani you mean unaweza kutuambia tutoe hongo.
We. You know,
Atukuchapa
salute.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, anaweza kututolesha hongo. Anaweza kutuambia tutoe hongo.
Awetoa kitu kidogo.
Lakini tunaweza mpigia simu kama kuna kitu umefanyika.
So by the way, your issue of police, I see that a lot of people who get into athletics, tend to join, these discipline forces. You're talking about the police, KDF, prisons and all these other units. So I'm a bit curious. First of all, when they say Omanyala, ameingia police, do they just push you in there because you're winning now, or is it something that you actually have to go to Kiganjo for training and you can actually go on the roads and ask for a hongo? How does that work?
So you see, no, it's optional. It's not all the athletes that are performing well are in the discipline forces.
Yeah.
If keep your gonna, you go with discipline forces. So you mean it's by choice.
Okay.
Because for me, it was because it's a permanent job. First of all, it's a permanent job. You're given the job, unaekwa kwa payroll. You're among the government employees. So that means even after races zako, after mbio imeisha, you have something to fall back to. That is, kama you don't have anything else to do after that. That's why I was telling you, okota hizo opportunities zote along the way, drop which one you. Because now I joined the force, and as athletes, we travel and compete a lot. But in my off season, I went for training. I did training in Kiganjo.
Oh, wow.
Some weeks.
Okay.
I know how to hold the guns. I know how to march. I know the ranks and everything else.
And
the
so
most important
ask for
stuff.
hongo.
Inspector Omanyala.
Ask for
Yeah.
hongo.
So you see, it's something that at least you have a job security, that which you're continuing to build. Every time you win, there's a rank that goes up. So every time you win, there's a rank that goes
interesting.
up. At the end of the day, you might find yourself, you're finishing as a senior superintendent of police, which is great. And you're having your salo, and maybe you might be attached to a very high office at the end of it all. So it's something that you just plan ahead. It's not like right now you're making money. Unajua pesa wisha. I've been in that situation. So you have to plan yourself.
Now imagine a suspect trying to run away from FERDINAND.
Kuuliza, so sahi nilikuwa off season. When you go in your off season, utarudi mtaani kukimbiza watu ama ama where you're based out of hiyo ni building ya makarao ile
DCI.
Kuna jina hiyo kwa nayo iko hapo Prestige, nimesahau jina. Anyway, but are you basically based in an office, or
I'm attached to DCI headquarters, of which I always go there to just check out how things work out, because I'm also I love learning, so it's something that I love, just seeing how people do things and stuff. But no, we don't. Our job is to run. We represent the country and we represent the Kenya Police, so that's our job.
So you're almost like a brand ambassador for them at this point.
Exactly.
And it also comes with some perks
Yes,
as you go.
yes.
Okay.
But
Interesting.
my question is, Ferdinand, you know, like tunasikianga stories are, you know, the powers that be will put out a call for people to come, people who are interested in joining, alafu mnakutana kwa kiwanja, so watu wanapigwa inspection, meno, mapua, macho,
kama mguu ni flat,
kama mguu ni flat,
ama kama iko curved,
sijui nini.
Yeah.
Na hizo ulifanya hizo zote bwana?
No, you see, now we don't go the normal recruitment because there's a sports recruitment that happens differently.
Okay.
Oh, that
So,
is interesting.
Yeah.
Sports recruitment happens differently from the normal recruitment wasa wanatafuta job. So you find that you're not doing the same things these guys are checking, because already you guys are athletes, you're already fit, you're already representing the country and all that stuff, so it's different.
Yeah, and you know, like being an expert in finance, I think it is so interesting, you know, like what you talked about, because athletics is not a traditional career. It's one of those careers where you have so many opportunities within a very short window.
Yeah.
So you have to secure your life within
Of
that
course.
short window. And
Yeah.
it's very interesting how you're talking about it. And I think this is very important knowledge for a lot of kids who are coming up right now and trying to get into this business. Because, you know, when you're doing very well, mentally sometimes you tend to think that this is going to
it's gonna
last
be there for a
forever.
while, yeah.
You know, so
No,
if
it
I'm
doesn't.
getting these endorsements, they're going to keep coming. And here, I think Ruth Wanjiru was asking if you have any Kenyan company sponsoring
That's
you.
exactly what I was going
Yeah,
to
I
ask.
think you mentioned Odibets previously. Do you have any other Kenyan companies that are sponsoring you at the moment?
Odi, we are not working currently. We are not
Okay.
working together. But I have USN, the nutrition company,
Okay.
and I don't want to spill the beans because there are like
Okay.
5 coming up the next 2 months. So
Ah,
I will
okay.
just
No
like,
problem.
okay.
No problem.
And there's a lot of money involved.
A lot.
A lot.
manze, nipake manze.
Ah,
Nipake.
okay, all right.
Inaonekana hapa si Adidas studio pali tutakula.
Ah, yes.
Hapa Chief Louis pale unaenda pia sisi tuko hapo.
Yeah. But,
I was gonna ask. I think the question that Lawrence asked. Are you gonna?
no, go ahead.
It's
Go
coming.
ahead. Yeah.
No,
It was
because he
coming.
asked about it.
Yeah.
Or are you gonna?
No, yeah. Just go ahead and ask.
If I can find it. Talking about how the government and how how the government has madhogodhaniod many.
You mean government involvement in sports?
Yes.
Yeah, government
And I
involvement
think
in sports.
that was it.
You know,
Sorry.
and you know, we know this is a tough question for you, Omanyala. We should be asking the powers that be, but maybe tell us, how do you think government involvement can maybe improve the environment? Because there's always these scandals that come out. Rio 2016, mara sijui kit ziliibiwa, mara hazikufika, like
mtu anapewa spikes za sijui nani.
and
Mara
some-
Adidas fake.
yeah, and sometimes even accommodation facilities. And of course, some of these stories are true, some of them are not. But there's definitely a few issues that come up, and we know that our Kenyan athletes perform at a very high level. So maybe what is it that you feel that the government should do to make it smooth for the athletes, so that all you're thinking about is competition and no other fringe stuff on the side because things are not being done right? Omanyala.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to be one day in those offices. I know it'll be. So it all comes down to individual federations, because there's the government, and then there's the ministry, and then there's National Olympic Committee of Kenya, which is over all the federations, and then there's individual federations in different sports. So I believe, like right now, which is a very good initiative, that Talanta Hela is really pumping money into the pockets of athletes directly, not through federations, which is a good thing. That's one thing that I've always voted for. Like, don't give federations money to pay athletes. Just get the athletes' accounts and pay their monies directly to them.
Nice.
And then another thing, we should have someone from the Ministry of Sport to be assigned. The Ministry of Sport should assign one person to each member federation, so that every time there's something happening or there's a game coming up, this person is the one reporting back to the Minister of Sports, because these guys will come and overshadow and tell you what you want to hear, but hide a lot of things that's happening on the background, which the guys who are getting affected are the athletes. Another thing is the planning. We can't be having an event in 2 weeks, and then now you want to have a trials in 3 weeks to the event, and then get these guys in camp for 2 weeks, and then now we expect these guys to go and perform at their best. You don't know where these guys are staying. You don't know where these guys are eating. Like I like that there's an Olympic high performance center in the US. I think Kenya should try and get that thing into the country, because we can't be having after the World Championships, where are the athletes? Do you even know where the athletes are? Like, tumeachana now. Nobody cares about them. We are going to see them again next year after the trials in June for the Olympics. Put them in camp for 3 weeks and say that our wako ready. But you don't know. You haven't walked the journey with these athletes. Let's say like the team sports. We expect them to be in camp 3 weeks, 1 month before their games, and you expect these guys to have that cohesion and that thing that they put them together. The teamwork doesn't work like that. Follow these guys from start. Like now, the Olympics is coming next year, which I really appreciate. The National Olympic Committee is trying to do. Walk the journey with the athletes. Work with these athletes from pre-qualification. I'm happy that the Olympic Committee is trying to get these guys to qualify and then put them in camps in different places in France. That is a great thing they're doing. If they could be doing that from way, way back. Because now, do we have even a feeder program in Kenya? I don't think so. We don't have a feeder program for athletics. Let's say sprints. Let's say today OMANYALA decides he doesn't want to run anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Who is going to run the next 100 meters?
Who is challenging him right now?
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. So if we can have these programs, put these athletes in a condition, like we can't do that for everybody, of course. There are thousands and thousands of athletes in Kenya, but we can't do that. But there are people who are prospects. There are those you call probables. Get these guys, put them in a camp, and that's what I'm trying to do by there. I have a Sprint Achievers company that's coming up, and we are happy that one of the companies is coming to sponsor us. My dream is to get these people from primary level. Because now I can't start sponsoring. I can't start sponsoring someone who is like me, someone who is already known how the sport works. I want to start from that grassroots level.
Right.
Get these kids from primary school, and I know there's a lot of talent in primary school across all sports, because you find there's a guy who's running barefoot but is moving as quick as an antelope. So take this guy, because of course most of these guys won't get to the elite like university and then get those facilities that I once had. I got that facility because of my education. I always tell myself, sometimes if I could not have come to Nairobi, maybe I could not even be where I am, because there's nothing that I can say I could ride on in Western Kenya. So get these guys, put them in camps, train them, get them through the education system, but not forgetting the sporting perspective where they have been good at. Give them the education. When they get to 18, ask them what they want to do. You want to turn pro or you want to go to school? Have that program with the universities in the States, in Australia, in Europe. Have that exchange program with those universities, and that way you'll get that feeder program running. Because that thing was working so well with the Safaricom Sevens. They were like Team 8, Morans, and all that. So once the Shujaa goes out, there's another like 23 guys who are in the Morans team. And once someone is injured, there's some replacement. I don't know what really happened with that. There's no feeder program from. I don't know what happened to high school rugby. People are not talking about high school rugby anymore. People are not talking about, those kind of stuff. So that's what I think the government should really focus on if they want to develop the next talented athletes. Because we don't want that situation. I don't want a situation where I'm retiring and then there's a huge gap of 60 years before I get some other sprinter who is coming to break my record. I'm really looking forward to that time when we're having the Olympic trials, we're having the World Championships trials, but we don't know who's going to win the 100 meters. We have 9 or 5 guys or 6 guys doing under 10 seconds. Who is going to make the team? We don't know. That's the situation I want to get the country at.
Wow.
Wow.
That is so amazing. And it has answered a lot of questions that were coming in while you were speaking, because we wanted to know about, like the next generation and maybe what needs to be done, what you're doing, because you're in a place, you're like in a sport by yourself, whereby like we don't know what's gonna happen after Omanyala. I mean, we're enjoying this moment that we are with Omanyala, but we don't know when Omanyala retires and
What happens?
and goes back to
yeah.
the police service at DCI. We don't know, like what happens next for the next generation. And it's great that you're giving that effort. What was the name of that organization again that you have? You say
Sprint Achievers.
Sprint Achievers, yeah.
Achievers.
That's something that we would want to know more about, like in future. But then even more important would be having proper structures to pick these people from when they're in primary school, not even high school, from when they're in primary schools, because we see that here where certain talents identified very early, like the likes of LeBron James, they were identified very, very early, like way before they ever touched, that's when ESPN started going into high school gyms, and they were actually banned from doing that because now it was becoming a bit chaotic. But now, like there are people who are going back. There are all these academies, and now in America there's so much competition for sports, like in basketball, for example. Colleges no longer have the monopoly. There are kids who are graduating high school, but they don't want to go to college. There's a number of programs that they can go in, and they're becoming top prospects in the draft. And then, of course, there's the nurturing of these track and field athletes, which is very important. You're seeing, like a lot of athletes who have heritage, like Athing Mu, who lost to our Mary Mora, but Athing Mu is from South Sudan.
Correct,
She's from South Sudan, and probably she would never have gotten this opportunity if she was somewhere where these structures were not there. So when you think about Kenya, where we produce such top talent, despite the fact that our structures are not, like as high profile as some of these countries that win as many medals as us, is a testament to how much better we can get and how much more revenue this can bring to the economy overall, not only to the athletes, but to the overall economy. Mike, you
I was going to say, and that is part of the reason I think we used to have sports day. And, because we used to have those sports days, and then, as sports day, you have those competitions, and then sometimes even prior to that. And I think we've touched on this, Ali, when you're talking like even about sports, because each and every part of the country had its own competitions, from provisionals to division to district to division, not in necessarily that order, but you see from that you're sort of sieving out the best of the best at that time, and you bring them about to compete with one another. Then from there you keep on getting until you get the cream of the crop.
Yes.
And the structure was there. I mean, it was there. It's just now the problem, I think, and that's what Omanyala is saying, now getting that talent and nurturing it. When we had Lawrence Olum, you were saying at some point, there's some guys who are deadly ball.
Yeah.
By the time that guy is about 16, 17, your story meisha.
Yeah.
Ni mambo ya kusoma na vitabu and everything. You cannot look forward to even earning money, to even making a living, being an athlete, being a sports person. Can you imagine?
The problem?
Go ahead.
The problem is we are living in a country where white-collar jobs are getting to like 0.001%.
Yes.
And
very scary.
Now you're seeing people who are making it in life are doing it through talent. Miujiambia sahi, I could have finished my chemistry studies. Ningekuwa na tamak mahali nikitafuta job. But my life has been made easier because of my talent. Yes. Now I'm earning and I can access anything I want because of my talent. I can sit with the presidents, I can sit with people who have high ranks in the society because of my talent.
Yeah.
So parents also need to take that thing away, that education is the only way out. You need to cut that thing off, because most of the people I'm meeting and most of the kids I'm meeting, they're telling me, hey, my parents doesn't want me to do this. My parents, white collar jobs are isn't as kidai. In Kenya, it's going to be a very, there are so many people graduating out of universities right now. Thousands and thousands every day, every year, I mean. And there's no way you are telling me you're going to get a job and there are like 5,000 or 6,000 ahead of you from previous years who are looking for the same job. So if we can really work on making talent a great structure and something that people can earn out of it, then it's going to be a very big problem for the youth.
Okay, and there's a
jump
Jamaican
in.
here.
Let me jump in here, Lee, first.
Okay,
Let me
Mika.
jump in here before I lose my train of thought.
Okay.
And I'm glad that you have mentioned a few things that I've mentioned here before when you're having this conversation. The first one is learning that sports is a business as it is right now. Sports is not just entertainment anymore. Sports is a multi-billion-dollar business. Sports is something that can actually change the economic perception of Kenya if it's tapped properly and it's brought in properly. And that goes back all the way to infrastructure. Now, another thing that Ferdinand said, and it's something that I've said before, there's as much as the government can do. All this needs to go back to the individual federation. What the government needs to do is put in legislature that governs those federations and allows those federations to be able to deliver the development and the nurturing of sports in a way that is growing and it's expected. Like the NBA is a private entity that operates under the Basketball Federation of America, which the Basketball Federation of America is under the government. The MLS is an entity that operates under US soccer, which is, again, responds to the government through Congress. So the same thing with, if you go to countries like England, they have the FA, which is the federation. The FA runs the sport, but the FA will come to answer to the government when, let's say in terms of somebody is buying a team and there are laws that the government can say, okay, here we don't want to do this, we don't want to do this. So the government is supposed to be as an oversight for the federations. Then the federations are supposed to decide how they're going to run that particular sport. So if they're going to add in a privatized leagues, or as Ferdinand is saying here, he wants to start his own foundation whereby he works with sprinters. All that is where the federation now comes in to ensure that whichever sport you're working on, guidelines, certain rules, and the federation gives you coaches, gives you referees, gives you training, gives you facilities, even just acquisition of land to build an academy. That's supposed to be something that the federation now facilitates to the government and say, okay, fine, we want to build a multi-level Olympic center for training young kids. We want to start doing age group training from the age of 16, or from the age of 6, 7, 10, 12, 16, 18. And that is how it's supposed to work in a good world. Now, what we are stuck on what Mike was saying. We are still stuck on tuanze zonals, tuende districts, tuende provincials, which is to a county level after the country games. So the school games are still there, but there's only as far the school games can go. And when you get out of school, as Fadi said, if you go different places, some people will go to their parent will be like, okay, now I want you to work with me in my business. Another one will be told enda ulime, another one will be told enda shule, silipi fia university na unaenda kucheza jazoko kirukaruka. And then also you yourself will just look at it and be like, because some of us, we used to say, a ball like lipi. That is how some of us stopped playing soccer in high school to get up to rugby in college, because at least rugby you got enough for commission. You will make a few hundreds, a few thousand. You'll make a game day and make at least thou. So all have that continuity.
Okay.
It gives you a base of, you see a career path in it, and it encourages those talented players to come in. It encourages the game to grow in itself.
Okay.
Ali, you've complained so many times that mbona Waluya na Wajaluo ndio cheza national team ya ball, mbona waendangi kuchukua watu kwa Wargadudu sijui wapi nini. But then ukiangalia wale watu wa Wargadudu cheza ball siku gani? Siku ile shule iko on. Na most likely labda hiyo siku kuna drought, amepeleka ng'ombe place nyingine. Hawezi cheza ball, hakuna siku ya ball. So the development of sports is just not, as much as we like blaming the government, as somebody who has played sports, as somebody who understands sports, the federations need to pull up their socks. Federations in Kenya need to stop being a political vehicle for people.
Okay, all right. Asante sana, Mika. Now, as we are coming close to wrap up so that the champ can rest, quick comments here. Shirandula Chiflui anasema the embassy said that Omanyala is here as an individual and not for country, so hawatashughulika. That was wrong. Now this is according to Chiflui. You know, like ni Chiflui ndo amesema hivi. This is not the OneMicShow. This is not the Omanyala saying this. And then a couple of questions that Slay asked. Yeah, a couple of questions that Slay asked have been answered, you know, and this was regarding nurturing athletes and the other what needs to be done to retain athletes. And I think also Mika has touched on that, whereby you're giving these kids confidence in school that I can comfortably take this path and I'm gonna make a good living out of it. And then Stephen JJ anasema hata uwezi amini, but our country just lacks serious leadership and seriousness that goes along with it. And then Frank Hardy, welcome, anasema this is amazing. Cliff Rain is also tuned in. And then we have a Jamaican here, Omanyala, that's tuned in, Afro-Jamaican. He loves the OneMicShow. He loves Kenya. And he's saying, you know, like he was asking if there's all school competition, because he says in Jamaica boys and girls champs are big deal. The whole country watches. And I think Afro-Jamaican, despite being Jamaican, and tomorrow there's going to be a couple of Jamaicans racing against you, I think secretly Afro-Jamaican will be cheering Omanyala.
100%.
You know, I hope his fellow Jamaicans are not tuned in, but I think secretly, he's going to be cheering on Omanyala. And then Salishiro anasema, we have Kenyan college athletes in the NCAA joining the military and representing the USA in Olympics. Yes, that's very interesting. The US military has so many Kenyan athletes. You know, like, because you know Kenya has very top tier talents in the long distances. So there are those people who do not make it in the national team in Kenya, and they do very well out here joining the US military. Because the US military also has that sports track. And then now let me see what else. Tabitha Njeri, who we interviewed here last week, is loving this. And then Stephen JJ saying so many educated, frustrated Kenyans. Eric Erickson, good job, the OneMicShow and Ferdinand, for educating us all. Great dialogue. Get the champ to get some good rest. And then Rachi says, wishing you an amazing rest, Omanyala. We are rooting for you. Hiyo sembe itafanya kazi maridadi kwa track. And then and then Afro-Jamaican anasema there is potential in the high school. Very many students get full scholarships to the US from the boys and girls championships. That's in Jamaica. And then we have Denz Lala, who says we are coming to cheer you up tomorrow in Eugene.
Awesome.
Yeah. So Denz, tell us where you're from. You know, are you from Eugene? Are you from Portland? Are you from Seattle, Washington? Or maybe are you Arizona, from just far away and you're just coming to see? Dance, please drop that in the comment. And then we have Michael Mugo here. Michael Mugo in the building. He says, I proposed Omanyala to move to the US and I would help him file. The offer still stands. Yani kuna watu hapa. Okay.
No, thank you.
All right. No, thank you for Omanyala. And then
4 years. 4 years ya kuketi.
Your 4 years is too long. And then Tabitha says, we are behind you, Omanyala. We send you our best for tomorrow. We'll be there cheering for you. And then Afro-Jamaican says the original non-Kenyan. Afro-Jamaican, you are Kenyan now. There is no non-Kenyan anymore. Yeah. And then Stephen JJ anasema Omanyala umeinspire watu wengi sana. Chonjo sana na ubarikiwe. Yes. And then Slay anasema we must maximize the talent. Lawrence Kihanya, let's say the president awards athletes, is the taxpayers' money or personal appropriation? So actually the president is in the country. Lawrence Kihanya, I think this is a very good question that should be directed to the president. And the people who are handling the president, tell them the OneMicShow is open whenever he has a chance. For dialogue. Hapa ni conversation.
We are open for dialogue.
We are open for dialogue. Some of these questions like Lawrence Kianya is asking, maybe you can answer them directly. And then Denslala is saying she's from, I don't know whether it's a he or she, Portland, Oregon.
Karibu sana.
Karibu sana, 1.5 hours.
1.5 hours.
So that's good. And then Slay anasema we are behind you, champ. Njeria anasema Omanyala all the way. And Washeke is rooting for you, champ. Now before you go, champ, real quick, do you have any other hobbies outside of athletics? And we know also you love rugby.
Na kuitisha hongo.
Yeah. Achana na story ya kuitisha hongo. Hiyo baadaye.
Ama na choma.
Itabidi utoe sasa. Vile naona. Yeah, I have my hobbies.
Mimi nataka kushow December pale utampata. Umshike.
Ala.
Sasa uniambie tu hivi akilandi hivi. Bado zake atazipata na mimi.
Kwanza na kushow kwa bag pale office vitu hapa kuingiza.
Well, Mika.
Yeah, I do have hobbies. Something that I love traveling, and I got to get a sport that really makes that happen. And I travel a lot. Like I've been out 6 months this year, so
Wow.
I've really been out and about. That's another thing I love to do. I love watching movies. I do watch a lot of movies. I love listening to music. I love good music. Any type, any genre of music. I love good music.
Yo Molo.
And
Molo hiyo alikuimbia.
Hiyo Molo
Yo
iliweza.
Molo iliweza.
ilikuwa noma hiyo. And then another thing, I love just sharing my story to people and just encouraging them and showing them that there's hope for tomorrow and there's possibilities to things that seem impossible. So that's one thing that I really love doing. You'll get me having different chats, different times of the day with different people. That's something I really love doing in schools, in colleges, in I think that's something I'll do till my life ends in this world. So that's something I love doing.
Okay, and one question we had avoided, but now kuna a viewer ameuliza, Salishiro anauliza akona mtu asking for my neighbor.
Wow.
Yes. Nilikuwa najua kuna mtu atauliza hiyo swali. Yeah, I'm married to Laventa Mutavi, someone who has really been on my side for the longest time.
Amazing.
And your time when nilikuwa na suffer, nilikuwa after I was going through a lot of challenges then, and she was working, and unajua alikuwa analeta salo, anasema unajua ni aje hii pesa aliwendo mbigi kwa hii keja, so wendo napanga hido. So ananiambia pesa yako ya training, ya kwenda training ndo hii, pesa yako ya kwenda ya pesa ya shopping ndo hii. Alafu unajua alikuwa hata anajinyima yeye, but so long as family iko sawa, mimi na mtoi tuko sawa. I have a son. He's turning 5 in November.
Oh, nice.
And
Nice.
ameanza shule hii mwaka, so he's a great guy. I mean, ni mse very brilliant, and I love him. I love my family. Like these are people who have been there with me. They have really encouraged me, and they have really made me just work so hard to make sure that they get everything they want. Now my wife is traveling around the world doing trainings in different grounds, so that's what I promised her when she was doing all that for us.
Hey,
so yes,
Sasa,
big shout out to
mnakuanga nini? Mnakuanga couple goals huko Instagram.
Hey, Maze. No. I really like the fact that you keep talking about that she was there before the endorsements came in, before the money came in, and she was there sharing what she had with you. And I think that's someone we would actually want to interview on the OneMicShow,
by
because
the way,
that's rare.
They train together.
Yes,
They train together.
Yes, and they train together.
And she's also in the sprints.
Yes, she's also an athlete.
She's listening to these interviews, and ananitumia ma messages tu hapa, namwambia we
huku kwetu anakuuliza asiende iko wapi? Ndivyo hata kusikia.
Wow.
Yeah, I think you should also want to listen to her story one time. She
absolutely. Yeah. Actually, you will connect us with her.
Whenever she's ready, we are ready for her.
Yes, we are ready for her.
Okay.
Because
I think she had that.
Yeah, because her story itself is very amazing, and the fact that you're verbalizing that when ulikuwa hauna, because unajua sisi wanaume saa zingine people are in situations where like the lady is taking care of you, but wanaume wapendi kukubali, atajifanya tu, utamuuliza I know you're not working, how are you doing, atakwambia niko na biashara tu, and that time you have no money coming in.
Cheza chini, unajua one mic atake watu wajue.
so so it's
Utaambia watu unataka one mic ite watu homosexual.
One thing about men is that we've been raised in a culture that we have been taught never to show our emotions,
Never to show weakness.
Never to show weakness.
Yeah.
That's one thing that really killing men out here.
Wow. Okay.
I was gonna say this. I know you're about to wrap up, but I was listening to an interview, and his coach actually said that what Omanyala has taught him is that growth is inevitable.
Absolutely. Yes. And with that said, just let me read a quick few comments because mazee, you know, like hiyo story ya Laventa imebamba watu mbaya sana hapa.
Because he was being asked to go out for some Casamigos, but hiyo imepita.
Yeah, I know. Actually, Macarena, our promoter from Texas, alikuwa nauliza, you know, like if you drink alcohol, akona Casamigos.
No, I don't drink alcohol. Nakunywa tu maziwa, Del Monte, and non-alcoholic beverages.
Del Monte ni sponsor.
Hiyo Casamigos ukikunywa utakuwa banned 15 years. Hiyo pombe ni mbaya sana.
I can't.
Hiyo pombe usikunywe hiyo, mtu asikudanganye hiyo pombe.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and then so actually now Chris Amoy is saying the truth, please let him rest. We're going to let him go right now. And then Washeke is saying Hacienda ni important.
Mama za Hacienda unajua anaeza. In fact,
yes.
he built Mama a very nice house.
Yes, I saw that. That was very amazing. And then
wamesikia stories za endorsement ndo akajua Hacienda iko kambi.
and then hapa Frank Hadi anasema bado those kind of women wako asking for a friend. And then let me see, hiyo pass imeblokiwa Kimutombo. Shakimbeja namwambia Salishiro pass imeblokiwa Kimutombo, but ni sawa tu hivyo. And then let me see, Steven JJ anasema jamaa pia ako chonjo na chemistry hapo sasa basi. And then we have like I think this is Njeriki Nudhia Hinga. Omanyala, I'm your number one fan. Believe me or not, I'm a 55, but I promote you a lot on my page. I love athletics in general. I used to be a 100-meter sprinter back in the day at Arab Moi Primary School in Koroi and then high school at Visaoshwal. After the race and nyakuaring that gold, pitia hapa Michigan, tukule ugali. So you're already being welcome.
I'll have to ask my manager sasa next year nikikuja US it's a 2 week earlier.
Yes, because itabidi uende different states, and I know I already checked the dates. Eugene Oregon.
Na next year akikuja anakuja kwa show.
Yes, anakuja hapa physically. No, not kwa Zoom. Yeah, and then next year Eugene Oregon is in May. Is in May 25th. I already checked the calendar. It's on May 25th. So hiyo hapo tupange hata kama ni sisi ndo tutaenda huko. Yeah, and then so many comments coming, you know, like big man should rest and everything. With that said, this is it for the show. We want to thank Ferdinand Omanyala for taking time outside his busy schedule.
Asante sana.
We also want to thank the Kenyans in Eugene, Oregon, who welcomed Omanyala and have been feeding him proper Kenyan food.
Maze,
yes.
These guys, Maze, big up to you. I mean, like, I don't know what to say. I can't pay you, but I just ask God to bless you guys. Apparently.
All right.
Amen.
Okay,
amen,
and
amen.
also a big shout out to Eshirandula Chief Louis, all the
Maze
way from
Chief
Atlanta,
Louis.
for making this
I
interview.
yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Very
Chief
nice
Louis.
I will endorse him to be my second manager now.
Okay, big up Chief Louis, and we also cannot forget our amazing audience that there's those ones who are with us every week.
Yes.
And there's also the new ones who showed up today.
Thank you.
You know, just make sure you subscribe, you like everything, and you start binging on all our previous episodes. And we're here every Friday, 8 to 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Leo, we have to leave Ali Kidogo because the champ has to rest. And
we are resting with him.
Yeah, and we also resting with him. Yes, Mary Mora, Faith Kipyegon, and all the other athletes. We want you on this platform.
And we also wish you
put in a good word
Kesho.
for us, Ferdinand.
I will.
Put in a word. Wambie wote, you know, like those ones who can make it here physically and those ones who can do it via Zoom. We want to talk to all of them. And reminder that also the Chicago Marathon is coming up in October, I think October 6th, and the New York Marathon is coming up on November 5th. So watu wanze kujipanga. Na kwa hayo machache, mimi ni mtangazaji wenu Ali Badawi aka Mjukuu wa Masai, and you still tuned in to the One Mic Show. Uno mic kazi kwako, and remind the audience pia about Bora Lounge.
I was gonna say that. Listen, guys, tomorrow 4:07 p.m. Eastern time. EST. 1:07 Pacific time.
Yes.
boralounge.com. Log in. Let's support the man, the myth, the legend, Ferdinand Omanyala. And hapo I think atavunja 977 and atacheza hapo 966.
No, hebu tuonyeshe hiyo nini yako.
Hebu tuonyeshe
hiyo bracelet yako. Hebu tuonyeshe nasema nini.
Kwanza let me cue it. Hold on.
There you go. Look at that.
Nasema 966.
966.
Momenye hivyo.
Na utakuwa umeivaa kwa race.
Yeah.
Itaweza sana.
Okay. Sawa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you guys.
And wahenga walinena kilicho na mwanzo hakina budi kuwa na mwisho. Meli imetia nanga. We are about to wrap this puppy up, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Omanyala usipotee hivyo. Omanyala ashapotea.
Si ameenda. Wacha aenda kapumzika.
Okay, wacha Omanyala. Yeah.
Yuko.
Okay, just give us.
Ambia watu kwa heri basi.
Give us your last word and then
Guys, thank you for listening in. It's been your host and co-host, Ferdinand Omanyala. I was trying to be a host hapa kidogo nionekana nitaweza but nimejaribu.
Tutakutrain.
Thank you guys for listening in. It's been a great conversation and guys, tomorrow if you can make it to the stadium, come and cheer. I can assure you that live events are way better than watching it on TV.
Absolutely.
So just come and feel the buzz in the stadium if you can. If you can't, there's a platform that has been shared.
boralounge.com. Yes, yeah. boralounge.com.
Okay.
Yes. So you can get there, tune in if you don't have the cables to watch these things live on TV. But let's support. This is the last event of athletics this year, so you don't have a reason to miss it. So
okay.
Catch you guys on TV tomorrow.
All right. Okay. Asante sana Omanyala.
Okay.